Did Buckingham Palace or Prince William set a trap for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, and were they gullible enough to fall into it?
He's had enough. He wants to clean the monarchy, and it's all now in the hands of the courts. Meghan Markle is in full mode panic along with Harry because they both know what they did.
The stories would come out. So apparently, according to other journalists, we found out that there were a lot of porcupines probably told to the royals and even to Harry when they met her. And in order to cover up,
it's actually torture to listen to that woman now, because every other word out of her mouth is a lie.
From the moment Prince William drew a line in the sand, it sliced directly through Meghan Markle's narrative about maternity in a way that no Instagram post or TikTok video could ever repair. While the Duchess was busy choreographing hospital room dances and sharing them online for likes, a courtroom halfway across the world was quietly detonating a legal storm she probably spent years hoping would never see the light of day. This isn't just some tabloid fodder. It's a staggering £157 million inheritance clash, a debate over surrogacy, and a 400-year-old law that suddenly asked a question the palace has tiptoed around since 2019. Were the Sussex children truly born of the body? If the answer is no, and more people are starting to believe it isn't, then the cracks in the royal line of succession don't just appear. They could collapse the entire foundation. Just a few days ago, one of the most explosive legal stories in British aristocracy emerged, and shockingly, it barely made waves in the Meghan-focused media. Bath Salin, a thin, deliberate man, walked into Bristol High Court with his legal team.
People think her kids are fake. They think they're AI.
I'm going to quote Tom Bauer by saying, he said, look, we all laughed at Samantha and she was right. And everything she said has come true.
Something is happening right now in the courts, which is incredibly important. And nobody's paying attention to it because this will make history, and not in a good way for Meghan Markle.
And admitted something extraordinary. His second son, 9-year-old Henry, born via surrogacy in West Hollywood in 2016, might not legally qualify as an heir to the family fortune. We're talking about £157 million tied up in trusts that use language from before 1970, definitions that belong in another century. According to those rules, a child not literally born from the mother's body simply doesn't fit the criteria. Mr. Justice Matthews didn't hold back. There is genuine uncertainty whether Henry qualifies as a beneficiary. A boy biologically 100% Athen, born legally and fully documented via surrogacy, and the British legal system looked at him and essentially said, "We're not sure you count." Now, hold on to that thought, because this legal quagmire isn't just about money, it's about the royal line of succession, and it directly connects to Montecito. The monarchy operates on the same age-old principle, born of the body. Since the Act of Settlement in 1701, this rule has quietly governed who sits on the British throne. For 325 years, every single heir was born under this clause, witnessed by palace-appointed officials, verified, documented. No shortcuts, no exceptions, no loopholes, until Archie arrived, and suddenly the rulebook seemed to vanish. I've been covering Meghan Markle for years, and I'm not here to hate on her because the internet tells me to. The woman who sits in front of Oprah.
Who does he take after? Did he look like anyone?
We're still trying to figure that out.
Everyone says that babies change so much over 2 weeks. We're basically sort of monitoring how the changing process happens over this next month, really. But his looks are changing every single day.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Talking about authenticity is the same woman whose team sends cease and desist letters whenever anyone asks a simple question about her pregnancy timeline. That's not authenticity. That's brand management draped in royal glamour. And let's get one thing straight. This isn't about conspiracy theories or baseless speculation. It's about a straightforward question that any family relying on bloodline succession should answer without launching a full-scale legal army. Where, when, and how were these children born? And who verified it? William's kids were born at St. Mary's Hospital, photographed within hours, watched by the entire nation. documented down to the smallest detail. Meghan's kids. That's where things get murky and eyebrow-raising. When Archie Harrison, Mountbatten Windsor, arrived at Portland Hospital in London on May 6, 2019, protocols were abandoned. No photo call on the steps, a centuries-old tradition ignored. No official notice signed by the attending physicians, which had been standard for every royal birth in living memory. The birth certificate listed the details, yes, but for many observers, something felt off. Harry later wrote in Spare that they were out of the hospital within 2 hours, into the lift, underground car park, a people carrier, and back to Frogmore Cottage before the palace press office even confirmed Meghan was in labour. For a family that has spent 3 centuries making royal births public events, not for entertainment, but for constitutional legitimacy, this was not just unusual.
I mean, obviously, when William was born and Harry was born and George and Charlotte and Louis, we got great pictures outside the hospital. I remember, and William and Catherine especially, they made such an effort to show the whole world their new baby. And then when the baby was born, when Archie was born, that was another, in my view, a disaster because I knew we was not going to get a picture of it. Everybody was hoping we would get pictures of it.
Do you remember Meghan actually refused to use the hospital that was usually used by royals and refused to use all of the normal medical staff, and there was all of the weirdness over the timing of the birth of Archie?
It was a deliberate break from every precedent, and Harry's own account, setting up electric candles, framing photos of Diana, hiring an Ayurvedic doctor, whispering wishes to the baby in the first 60 seconds of life. It reads like a lifestyle blog post, not a royal birth record. One observer summed it up best. Other royals give you a birth announcement. Harry gave us a scented candle inventory. Then came Lilibet's birth in June 2021, which pushed the boundaries even further. Born at Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital, Harry claims he literally delivered the baby himself. I slid my hands under the tiny back and neck. I pulled our precious daughter from that world into this one. If true, it's a touching story of fatherhood, but from a constitutional perspective, it raises serious alarms. Here's the core problem that no one in Montecito seems willing to address. Unlike every significant royal birth since the early 1700s, neither Archie's nor Lilibet's arrivals were independently witnessed or verified by palace-appointed officials. Not a single one. No independent medical witness. No Privy Council notification in the traditional form. Just Harry's word. And when your children are 6th and 7th in line to the British throne, your word, however poetic, doesn't constitute a constitutional record.
Silence everybody and just produce a DNA sample or proof of delivery. If you had those things, it would be very easy just to put them out there and say, this is what happened. This is what it is.
Meghan, a geriatric mother. The family claims and state that Meghan had a hysterectomy. How can a woman with a hysterectomy be pregnant? And most of all, why did the royal family, go along with this? And what's going to happen now that this has come out?
And this isn't just about technicalities. It's about the foundation of monarchy itself. For centuries, each birth has been a matter of public record, witnessed and verified to maintain legitimacy. Deviating from that precedent opens questions that could ripple through the line of succession, the legitimacy of heirs, and potentially the perception of the crown itself. Some may shrug it off, thinking these are minor details, but in the world of British aristocracy, these details are everything. They dictate inheritance, power, and the very continuation of centuries-old traditions. The moment modern practices intersect with ancient laws, especially when millions and constitutional stability are at stake, the stakes become seismic. Now imagine this scenario spreading through Montecito circles. The whispers, the legal memos, the quiet panic behind closed doors. People outside the monarchy may think these are merely family dramas, but for the institution, it's a tectonic shift. The perfect storm of social media, personal branding, surrogacy, and centuries-old legal definitions has collided in a way that could redefine what it means to be royal in the 21st century. It's easy to admire Harry's devotion, Meghan's flair, and the idyllic family stories, But underneath it all lies a constitutional conundrum that no Instagram post or glowing interview can resolve. The succession line, the legal entanglements, the centuries of tradition, they all point to a single, unavoidable truth. Without independent verification, without adherence to long-standing protocols, the very legitimacy of these births hangs in limbo. So here's the part that haunts me, the question that keeps me staring at the ceiling at night. When it comes to the monarchy, the line of succession and the Sussex children, are we witnessing a harmless modern twist or a historic crack in the foundation that could echo for generations to come? If Meghan and Harry truly had nothing to hide, and maybe they don't, then why, after 6 long years, has not a single straightforward confirmation been issued? Not one clear, case-closed statement. Not a simple verification signed off by a doctor or palace official. No. Instead, we get lawyers' letters, legal threats, and careful wording meant to confuse more than clarify. Why does the simplest question in royal history, the question of who was actually born, where, and how, require the most convoluted, labyrinthine response imaginable? And why, in 2026, are we still chasing after answers that should have been publicly available the moment a child took their first breath? Prince William, according to multiple well-placed sources, finds the circumstances surrounding both Sussex births deeply suspicious. That is not a word a future king tosses around lightly. Every insider, every former palace aide will tell you the same thing. William is meticulous, precise, and his actions speak louder than any offhand comment. This isn't idle curiosity. It's a problem that threatens the integrity of the institution he will one day lead. He's methodically worked to separate the Sussex brand from the monarchy's official identity, profiles scrubbed from the royal website, commercial ventures under constant scrutiny, and titles under review to prevent their use for profit. Everything is intentional, strategic, and aimed at protecting the crown from ambiguity. Someone online captured the frustration perfectly. Meghan, if you hate the royals so much, stop using the title they gave you. That statement cuts to the heart of the issue. It's not the tabloids or the wild rumours that rile people up. It's the contradiction. Meghan simultaneously rejecting the institution, yet holding on to its credentials, is what fuels this confusion and outrage. You cannot decry the monarchy on a Netflix docu-series and then sell artisanal jam as the Duchess of Sussex. It's hypocrisy laid bare, and the public notices. Pick a lane. And that leads us right back to the Marquis of Bath, whose case takes all this from speculation into hard law. Unlike the Sussex narrative, this is documented, undeniable, and transparent. The Marquis has openly acknowledged the use of surrogacy, fought in court for his son's rights, and ensured that nothing is hidden behind legal veils. That is accountability in action. Full respect to him as a father, doing right by his child in the eyes of the law and public scrutiny. But here's the bombshell. His case demonstrates a truth that has been conveniently ignored by Montecito for years. Existing British inheritance law, trust law, and constitutional law do not automatically include children born through surrogacy. Mr. Justice Matthews spelled it out in court. The law does not automatically count these children as beneficiaries. The Marquess must petition the court to manually add Henry as a legal heir. The law will not do it on its own. Now, apply this principle to the Crown itself, the Act of Settlement, the succession to the Crown Act. These are not private family trusts you can amend with a cup of tea and a solicitor. These are centuries-old constitutional instruments governing the monarchy and succession for generations. Think about it. If a £157 million estate has uncertainty about a surrogate-born child's standing, what does that imply for the line of succession to the British throne? Suddenly, a hypothetical question becomes a constitutional dilemma, and this is where it gets truly uncomfortable. If, and I am being careful here, it were ever formally established that surrogacy was involved in either Sussex birth, could Parliament be compelled to review whether Archie and Lilibet's positions in the line of succession are legally valid? The Marquis of Bath's case suggests the answer is not automatic. It isn't a simple yes or no. Of course, Meghan's legal team would like you to believe there's nothing to worry about. They want the narrative to remain controlled, polished, and unquestioned. But Samantha Markle's words linger in the public imagination like smoke that refuses to dissipate. People are looking at timelines, cross-referencing public statements, comparing birth certificates, and now, with the Marquis of Bath's case in the open, they are also looking at legal precedent. What was once dismissed as bitter sibling speculation now has real teeth. Observers are asking, does the phrase "born of the body," the same phrase used to challenge a 9-year-old's £157 million inheritance, apply to children in the line of succession to the British throne? That is not idle gossip. That is constitutional arithmetic, and the silence from Montecito is deafening. No public clarification, no verification, lawyers and threats instead of transparency. It's a pattern that cannot be ignored. Consider this. Harry, who wrote a 416-page book detailing frostbitten extremities, childhood memories, military service, and countless personal embarrassments, somehow could not find a single paragraph to clarify whether surrogacy played a role in his children's births. A man who shares intimate, embarrassing, and vulnerable details about himself cannot answer a basic constitutional question regarding his children. The public sees that. Critics note that Harry will write about everything, except the things that truly matter to the integrity of the monarchy. Meanwhile, Prince William didn't create this problem. He inherited it just as he will inherit the crown. But he isn't ignoring it. He's building a monarchy where question marks don't replace verification, where transparency is not optional, and where accountability is public. The Marquis of Bath is fighting in open court. Harry and Meghan, lawyers in the shadows, threats instead of answers. One demonstrates accountability, the other damage control. One family exemplifies transparency, the other manufactures ambiguity. For those who have followed this story from the start, the people who watched Diana's wedding live, who cried at her funeral, who cheered when William and Catherine appeared on the balcony, this is more than gossip. They understand the difference. The monarchy can survive scandal, divorce, and even a prince writing a tell-all book about frostbitten toes, but it cannot survive doubt over who is legitimately born to wear the crown. Doubt is poisonous to the institution, and right now, doubt is all Meghan and Harry consistently produce. The story gets stranger as you dig deeper. The layers are complex. Timelines, legal precedents, public records, protocols, and even previously private correspondence all intersect in a way that raises questions no one has fully answered. Which doctors were present? Were the births independently verified? Were traditional protocols bypassed intentionally? Each unanswered question adds another layer of doubt, and the more you study it, the harder it becomes to ignore that something unprecedented occurred in Montecito. This isn't just a question of etiquette or protocol, it's a question of constitutional legitimacy. Each unsolved detail, each legal ambiguity, adds weight to a potential storm that could eventually demand a formal response from Parliament. The Marquis of Bath's case proves that legal oversight, documentation, and verification are not optional. They are critical. And the Sussex narrative? Legal threats, media warnings, and silence. So here's where we land. The deeper you dig, the stranger it gets. The next video in this series will connect dots even I didn't anticipate when I started researching. Dots that will reshape your understanding of the Sussex story, dots that will make legal, constitutional, and royal protocol issues impossible to ignore. This is the context, the history, the precedent, and once this next drop hits, every previous explanation, denial, or ambiguity will be illuminated in stark clarity. If you haven't already, hit like, leave a comment, and subscribe. This is the context, and it's just the beginning. Stay tuned, because the next installment will reveal connections you won't want to miss.